Yeah. What's good, buddy? It's King here. Hope everyone's having a good day. Welcome to another from a tier list. Now, this tier list is going to seem a little bit out of left field because of the fact that, I don't talk about comic books from creations like this. But one, I want to go ahead and spice it up on my channel, be a little bit more unique. The fact that Invincible has got more, craze, rave, fan base, and at the same time, love. Obviously, Invincible Season 3 is being stunning, marvelous, peak show right now. I cannot wait for episode 8 next Thursday as episode 7 of Season 3. What have I done? With some peak fuego, marvelous, dope ass fucking acting and action and, development, story beats, right? But with this video, you see by the title and obviously on the stream, there's going to be an Invincible power scaling tier list. Now, this is going to be the most relevant characters and people that obviously I know, and I feel like I have confident, scaling to substantiate with. I'm in a server in different form of servers and groups and talks with my friends and other people that, have strong stances on different Invincible scaling. This is my opinion, and I'm going to be giving as much objectivity and much as well, strong substance matter of purpose and perspective on it. Now, obviously, as you see, for my different other tier lists, if you are a fan or newcomer peeking into this channel, that a great deal of my tier list stand either from a at the time knowledge proposition of this. Obviously, people can go over this in this person. These are all mixed bag contingent people. This is my opinion, mixed bag of also having my perspective put into it. Any objectivity into it will probably stretch on a higher scuff. But yeah, this is pretty much just that. And again, I'm Godsking champion, aka King. Hope you guys having a great day. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, whatever time may be. And yeah, let's go and get into it. So starting off with the bottom tier, question mark / no scaling. These are the characters I don't know who have enough scaling. I don't know really how to substantiate where they could be, or they could be anywhere. I'm kind of mixed and full for where they are. I have seen a little bit of greater feats of what they can do from reading, like this Wolfman scaling to one of the mark variants. Some of these people banging out and fighting different mark variants, or having mixed hail to do this and do that. But even with those capabilities, I don't think they are very consistent and strong enough to bet some of these other people, and or I don't really have a strong way to say any of the things about them. And then I think this is Doc Seismic. I don't really have that much strongness on where to put him by himself, as a lot of what he does is just kind of boost away shock value, and if he can pull something of greater worth, it's kind of mixed situational sense. And a man forgot this man turns to a magma monster later on, and I don't really know exactly how strong that is, especially because if anything, that would be like a possible up feat for one of the other characters on here, aka Robot, right? And obviously, this talk about the comics and civics, so if you are afraid of spoilers or whatever possible talk being here, you should never have clicked on this video, but just for say, I guess. And I heard this woman can do some stuff, I don't know too much, but yeah, that's just kind of as a standing point for this. But when it comes down to next tier, what is being said, street tier, right? We have at the bottom a Reaniman, or Reaniman in general, just as a standing board, like a stamp stance of what the Invincible verse always pushes beyond and scales over shit, you know what I'm saying? Then you have this bug Razor Ravager Fang shawty that basically is like Deathstrike from Marvel Comics, who is able to hurt Rex and do decent great deal to multiple other heroes, split multiple case of duplicates, hold her own against decent record of people, and doesn't get instantly foddered, so I would say that she should be there. Then you have Stoneboy, aka Titan, who's able to bang with a out of experience and same time basically pupil mark, mark that basically fights like he has 2 left feet. He's able to take his blows, able to send a decent record of people and fight decent record of these other people. But because of the fact of him as being way more durable, and mixed bag skill would be over, but these other people would have better, hacks, feats, and or, tech to build a best them. So yeah, you have Robot's first robot variant, aka whatever tech and capabilities you could give Robot of this time, being obviously base equipment. And he be over them because of his skill, movement, capabilities, and all of his, combos and creative, creative, like, of, like, I don't know, akin to Iron Man activity. Like, basically, robot, how much he can supply himself, tied with how much vast rack of all trade versatility he has, would allow him to be able to dominate and decimate these people into oblivion. And with his credit of great intellect and sublime ways to get out of any scenario, regardless of the rack of all trades, you could say that he could push beyond, as he's a very, great proficient, fighter, and be really crazy with it. He could really spaz. But I just think that everyone else is bare minimum just a little bit stronger from the fact of, the things I'm going to get into. Like this guy with the hentai tentacles or whatever, these tendrils, I feel like not only could rip apart everybody else, hold them, immobilize them, or simply could, strangle them, has showcased bare and better capabilities of, holding people down, stagnating people, versatility upon versatility, and this his suit would be able to counter almost everything that this man robot could do. And in character, I don't see robot trying to Hyperion beam destroy, Tendril Man in comparison. So yeah, then you have Duplicate, who because of her versatility of duplicating and variety of capabilities and the fact that she's been able to, mosh pit a lot of people, decent martial arts skill, tacticalness, experience, should, body, I would say. But the only my problem maybe in the sense is, her kind of not very like cunning, like delivery of shit. Like she can duplicate for a bunch and it won't all act in the same way. She kind of has like a very mixed contingent push and pressure. So depending on how she might feel, they might be able to get one up on her, but she can just keep multiplying and multiplying like Billy Numerous. So it might be hard to actually get the real indefinite case because technically that doesn't exist. As all of them can be her, right? They all her, to be fair in a technical sense. And this guy could try to rip them all apart and body them, but I just feel like it would just be a never-ending battle, and this guy's gonna get tired. Duplicate is not most of the time, so yeah, no, I don't see that happening in this case. And yeah, it's like a very mixed like scenario. So, like, another thing I was gonna say, super when it goes on duplicate at hardcore, but it's at core, that's what it is. Then you got this live wire yellow bolt motherfucker from being able to stagnate, injure, hold up a little decent matter of like capabilities to another. I would say that he would just be able to override them in way too much power, absorb anything that robot and everyone else could do, electrocute all of the duplicates, knock them out, vaporize them. His velocity, speed, and full multi-fruition of power and pressure would be too much for them. So yeah, just take him out of commission like that. Then you have Molten Dude over here, who would just be unsurmountably way more powerful, bogus in capabilities and pull out incredible capabilities and shit, right? And, just because of his mixed height and power pool, I think would just be too much for everybody else. Then you have Shapesmith, who is because of his shapeshifting, versatility of multiple different regards, I think has shown for past accounts, accolades, and the fact that Shapesmith is able to neg a lot of the lower fodder people across the board of like the verse when he shows up, would be able to reasonably defeat these people from either being able to shapeshift his body to do crazy things, immobilize, strangle, paralyze, even outlive another person, do some creative things. The fact that he's pretty durable and has great endurance, and this is the only guy I really feel like that could put him out of commission, unless you think this guy can knock him out. But I mainly think like he could absorb anything that he throws and throw it back at him, right? Which is shown that electricity doesn't actually full phase him, but he can get overcharged. So if he like overcharged with himself, he can knock himself out, and then this guy could just go inside his body or just knock him out because he can't take physical damage, and possibly put up a great mass deal of the fluctuation of too much radiation gas and like blow himself up, which in the comics I think he can come back from. Like, he has an insane healing factor. So to be fair, this could go either way. But I don't know if he can heal from that, like, instant. So, yeah, that's kind of my, reasoning. Then you got Squid Motherfucker, his size, ammunition, gadgetry, and, who you can harm should just be enough. They said he would just slam everybody, regardless of what they can do. And I feel like he's physically stronger than this man, to rip him in half, crickle him, make him look like a Twizzler. And yeah, suppose that. Then this dude, this is supposed to be Black Samson. And is this with his suit? I don't know if Black Samson is anywhere to be found, like with his greater stuff, but this is basically just supposed to be Black Samson in general. He's way physically stronger, durable, is everything I said about this dude, but without the ammunition, but with his suit, would be great, versatile in multiple cases of ways, and has great spirit and will, and could best him. Then this dude who's basically invincible as Bane and is a cannibal is ridiculously way more stronger, durable, powerhouse, mixed pricking of skill, martial arts experience to an extent, and could just squabble with everybody and squash them like bugs. And this man violated the case of Shrink Ray in the comics, so that's kind of funny. But yeah, then you have Rexplode, the GOAT, rest in peace to this dude, with his gadgetries, hacks, and capabilities and stuff, would be able to, outdo everybody, heat up stuff, use his greatest capabilities, taking in his cybernetic, right hand, and all his capabilities and shit, his skeleton explosion sacrifice move, and all the rack of all trades, then capabilities he can pull. I think he would get it through, you know what I'm saying? I think the only problem is, like, I don't know, maybe it might be a tiredness thing, and his cockiness, like his personality, might have him, like, deprive himself of a full-fledged victory course, but I believe that he showcased all the cunning, velocity of, his bombs and capabilities of those things, not just in, like, speed, but mainly range, technique, is so dummy wild and pretty much uncountable in, like, the case of cracked creativity and all his other senses of cunning that would make him be pretty much just untouchable and, like, flawlessly proficient in a lot of his ways of doing shit. And if Rex is just going in for the fight, none of that cocky shit, none of that weird shit, his great range and speed would help him, even the odds and down a lot of people. And I think a lot of the people could really hold a candle to him. And a lot of these people who are, like, his allies, he best in sparring, or is considered to be one of the best, and he is considered to be the ace of the Guardians of the Globe. So yeah, I think, like, he should just be here, and he could do a lot. Now this picture is supposed to be both of the Mauler twins, like a tag team. This is a duo right here. From their tech that they could have on disposal, being even the immobilizer, having great teamwork, very strong, very smart motherfuckers. They are cooperators, not as much of cooperators as they could be. That would probably put them, I would say, being like Rexplode, contingent with people, but way more better odds from the fact that they could have the capability to violate, all these people to the greatest deal, because it's not just the immobilizer, which basically, again, as the name, allows them to be still, defects them from having the capability to think and react as they want to, their indomitable strength in comparison, their intellect, their duo, and the fact that none of the people below them, I feel like, can actually hang with them or do anything sufficient enough to really matter, or like a speed gap thing, because all these people should be, like, relative, like the low end subsonic take, or the supersonic to hypersonic mixed scale, depending on how you perceive how a person is moving bare none to the most defined extent, because it's only when we get to, like, above here when really speed really holds take. But yeah, I just feel like the Mauler twins, again, with the immobilizer, would have violated any of these people, disperse any of their capabilities, and should, like, full send, downfall them to the greatest deal in cunning and proficient mind. You know what I'm saying? These people are very acquitted with the matter of being able to use their double team numbers to the greatest defined extent. And because they're always thinking the same thing, they're literally carbon copies of each other. You know what I'm saying? These people are able to uniquely form different ways around. Like if it was one person, maybe they would go lower, but just because of their double team aspect and the tech, I think they would build a wood. Now here's where, it's an air conditioner thing. We have Monster Girl of her first outing, and then Monster Girl of the newest form. Okay, this is Monster Girl of her new suit, but it's being said. And I just gotta say, Monster Girl, god damn. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. Busky, Darlington, you know what I'm saying? Really got nice girls. Too bad. Motherfucker is a top tier idiot, a whole doorknob, an idiot, you know what I'm saying? But besides the buffoonery, I think Monster Girl, from her case of mixed bag experience, the fact that in the comics and different contingent shit, the immobilizer doesn't work on her to most sufficient extent, and like she just has the great dominant will to push past the fact that she's not a normal body, the fact that she's able to push, pressurize, and body the Molar twins to the greatest extent, can just out-bing with them, and decent credit of experience that I feel like she would be higher. I mean, she's just ridiculously way physically stronger than everybody else, and yeah, it's taken off. So the fact that by this time she has the belt, it makes perception of both that it wouldn't work, and that she could just best them before they could do that. So yeah, that's how I see it. But then you have Bulletproof, who was able to stand decently to a Mark variant of a higher degree, this being the Omni-Man variant or the Sinister Mark, right? And, because of his flight, hacks, great cases like decent skill, ran as, Invincible for a decent time, I would say should, sufficely just be beyond their capabilities and speed and other capabilities of that. Should have given them the dub. Pretty simple. That's that. Then you have Dr. Octopus, right? And it's only from the fact that this Dr. Octopus, which is a mix of exactly when this seems like a more revamped ultimate version of the character, because of Spidey as well, as those are the versions being proactive by the time that crossover with Invincible was happening. I would like to say that Dr. Octopus would, because of his experience in tech, mixed plug of what I have at recoil knowledge, I done decent mild research to my credit on the versions and what their capabilities most highs are from looking at different sources. First Battle Wiki is not the most strong resource to use, but just looking at the feats that they provided and looking into that calcs and everything like that, I would like to say that he'd be bar none more credit of greater A faster with his tech, his tendrils, aka his arms being way more of versatile, heavy use. Like they're more stronger, they're more proactive, allow him to do a lot more agile and creative case of mix. His arms have tech and different capabilities, like versatility with them. The fact that in the comics they're made out of adamantium, right? So they can protrude with blades and have great vascular, strength and different gauges of, tank capabilities. The fact that Dark Octopus has said multiple times as a genius mind, so he could pull a lot of shit that these people can't and can double time on that weight. Mixed problem, like his durability being iffy. Like he's a very strong dude with his arms and shit, but like if Bulletproof or anyone here got a very good heavy shot on him, he might as well be like fucked. But there's a mixed argument that he can take like the greatest blows from others, but it count to be the strongest member of the Sinister Six, mind, capabilities, and record of body. Is also the record that he took a whole blitz shot by Invincible and was only knocked down for a second. So I don't know, I'm just saying, like, all that record of capabilities and shit should take him on a whole different profound regard of just being able to rep the T of mind, body, and soul of the greatest, hands, because he able to pull some wacky shit with his mind and can stand strong just in body and has great capabilities as a whole. He can capitalize on multiple things. My man is resilient, redefining the art of being able, to advance and adapt in multiple creative ways. So yeah, that's again like my whole thing there, right? Then you have Darkwing, right? Who, because of his hacks and great versatility with how he uses them, his pure exoskeleton and superhuman capabilities, I think that he would be a very tough fight for Doctor Octopus. I feel like his best plan is to battlefield remove Doctor Octopus and or beat him in within the Dark Realm and use that against him, which I don't think Doctor Octopus is surviving or can find a way around. I also think because of his superhuman capabilities and what he's decently able to do and tick for tack stand, he would be able just to body out Doctor Octopus to the grandest degree. But yeah. Next you have Powerplex, who is pretty much in my opinion, a way more at base value, powerful and versatile, Electro, who can build up highest jolt to kinetic energy, unload out power like no other, and full on, Voltron combinate and correspond the most bombastic arrays of shit. I mean, my man's basically an atomic bomb when he builds up great electricity, and everyone here will be trying to hit him with electricity or some form of capability that he could build up and take. And, none of them I feel like would actually be able to figure out that the more they hit him or standing to him, that like he's gonna just build up energy, right? Like he's just too much. Like unless like they get a clean, severe shot on his head, which I believe because of the versatility of his powers to be had at general, he could not only move out the way, but could absorb and take back with his electricity doubling and ferocity. There's also tick of the fact that, the only person I feel like that could actually figure that out to a better degree is, Dr. Octopus to get around. Another Darkwing, the battlefield removal shit could work, but I believe that Powerplex would be too much of a danger for him to actually try to touch him and do that. There's the fact that I believe Powerplex could annihilate and, disintegrate him, and he's just a living incinerary wire. I mean, he's just too much, and yeah, I believe that would be just too much for him. Next you have Spider-Man, aka Peter Parker, who, from the version talked about before, and just being as consistent as possible, I think is very reasonable to consider to be a street tier, mild at best, person to quantify. Just because you're street tier doesn't mean you can't do shit, doesn't mean you're not powerful. It's just that from his experience fighting a bunch of people like this, his speed, agility, smarts, craft, versatility, mixed bag hacks, his precognition, spider sense, his sixth sense, you know what I'm saying? He'd be being basically Neo to these niggas. And it's only Powerplex that I feel like it's only good to. It's the fact that I don't think he needs to, hit him to immobilize him or knock him out. Like the webs and like mix of how he's able to counter Electro in different moments and using Powerplex's ego against him. I believe that he should defeat him, but I can see arguments seeing Powerplex defeating him. But I think Peter's experience and his smarts and the fact that he's been able to turn situations entirely out of his favor to his favor, and yeah. Then you have, I forgot his name, but the motherfucker that is affected with the sequids, the astronaut, right? I mean, this is the fact that you're human and he has the entire swarm of these motherfuckers would take these people out. And if you're not human, he would just override you and you get avalanche with so much and or be knocked out by so much plague of his stuff. I also take into the fact that, his capability to make all unique, like krill and bug, swarm, hide, and a bunch of capabilities with them is something that a lot of people can't break through. He's basically Star the Conqueror if he had like minions and little squid drones and different creative shit. Now, if any of these people got a sufficient hit on them, it'll be a problem. But I think the fact is that you don't even need to have anything on your skin or anything to not be infected, as they can leech through that. And then these people have showcased, I feel like, the durability bare none to push past that. And even if you are a person with a better durability, let's say like, I don't fucking know, like bulletproof, this dude Mahler's Invincible, right? This man on some squirrel girl rat catcher shit would just be so much of an overrun of all that he would just stack it too much in odds that you would get so unsurmisingly plagued and just outnumbered that you could never hit him, making it a contender to a mixed bag, like just too much in his favor, or you simply put would get, bland into oblivion. Like they would get basically piled upon. Like it's basically gonna be dodgeball with this dude, but squids. And you're just getting racked upon with them. So again, even if you're like not affected, you're not a normal human, you counter them all, you're arguably makes back faster, you'll never get the chance to hit this dude. It'll just be too much sore of like problem to get to in blows, wounds, and calc of like, him being just very smart because whatever the hive mind is of the Sequids, make this man be exhilarated, in heightened intelligence and precognition, and he's just everlasting. I mean, it's shown in his, iconic appearance of him having all record of being able to wreck of all trades, deliver on the idea that he is insurmountably powerful and could just purify the greatest mean to just being a whole, out of this world avalanche creator. Like, try to get to him, get blocked, get dinged, get so many creative like capabilities of offense. I mean, I'm kind of just talking in circles a little bit here, but it's just crazy how much like great waves of like he can pull these shit. Like there's so many creative ways he can do it. There's so many great waves of capabilities he can pull just to stampede them. And the only possible way I can see anyone below him stacking to any possible creative like stand to him is Powerplex, and it's only because of the fact that he could try to keep overrating electricity, but unless he builds up enough kinetic energy, which I don't see that working with a guy like this, because that's not how he's going to try to attack him. Because you could argue that Sequids don't attack you physically, it's more or less theoretically mentally. They attach to you physically, and they technically do harm, but as soon as they attach to you, like the system of your body is nullified to numb, and like you devoid, from what you are as a person, and you get downformed to a vegetable state of control. Get divulged to a minion, like they get turned into a draconic tree sentinel of like absence of mind, and are only controlled by a greater purpose through the means of him. So eventually that would just get too much overlasting. So yeah. So they say about, the Sequid host, then Immortal, because certain capabilities should do what these other people can't. Not just from him being way stronger, faster, his experience, even though he is a top tier L taker, I believe that Immortal has enough strength and gauge to say that he could push through all these different people, throw them into space, brush through all these different things, and at his highest regard of stuff, Immortal should, in my opinion, be able to blam and demolish, the Sequid host in the end. But unlike the other people, I don't really see him ever getting, outrun by them. So yeah, I believe he's gonna be alright. Simply to say. Now Oliver as a kid, Oliver was able to smash multiple fodder people, stand and bang with a alternate version of his brother, been able to, fight decently against the greater odds, and was able to wreck one of the mortal, greatest opposition, which is, the Mahler twins. And I feel like what he's done to weaker people, if he's bloodlusted, he could just eviscerate and tear through people, and they would get desecrated. It's also like the speed and mixed regard of like him having, infiltrate my DNA to a very interesting, potent degree that he could outstand anyone. And yeah, I just believe that he would just be too much. He'd be like a juvie bullet, and he would just bling, 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 bam, pierce from motherfuckers, you know what I'm saying? Then you got Mark basically being like season 1 Mark, just for like example. Okay, this is like, I don't know exactly like volumes to like substantiate, but in comparison to the comics, it'd be like a great run of like the starting volumes Mark from his experience, taking the fact that he was able to stand to some high regard people, bodying all these people beforehand, his Viltrumite DNA, decent fighting caliber, even though Omni-Man was holding back severely, the fact that he was able to take his blows and do different things, I would like to say that he should somewhat, reasonably stand as like a dude to not only take the fight to these people, best them, body them in the greatest way, but simply put, Mark would have the greatest, I feel like, gauge of, defense, skill, mindset to perfect and bang out and dominate, for a great deal. And, I just again believe that Mark would just have the decent hands and capabilities to, take out these people in the end. Most of the time through knockout, because obviously he doesn't kill, but if you would push him to that extent, he could, in the end, I feel like, dominate and full purge through a lot of their capabilities of defense, and Rectum has shown more severe, strength difference in capabilities. I just feel like he was, at a point, one of the strongest heroes of Earth, surprising for his time. Even Immortal, who was, stronger and messing with his dad, at one point, and was showcasing why Omni-Man decided to go ahead and sneak all the Guardians of the Globe, right? That he could decently stand to him, but the fact that Mark was able to do that to a better degree, was able to arguably hurt his father to a decent extent, not fully, not any like big substance, but just on that level, it was doing better than what Immortal would do later on. I would like to say that this man Mark could have the credit of being able to defeat them in the end, but I can see some arguments for different, but that's just me. Now, Alan should be pretty self-explanatory from his case of, skill, experience, record that he was able to survive a fight with Omni-Man and live to tell the tale, was severely like low ball playing around with Mark, or wasn't even like really going all out to the most peak scale. I feel like we'll be able to dog walk almost everybody, and only half presence of possible confrontation is like Immortal, Oliver, and obviously Mark, because the count of them had greater capabilities, versatility within power, boast of, off the fly, hanging with motherfuckers on a weird regard. I mean, these motherfuckers got great willpower and can be the standpoint of a top dog when they really want to string them in. There are greater ounce of, strength or intelligence in a greater regard. But yeah, that's just kind of me. I just feel like Oliver is way more, in comparison, when we're talking about this, a low form of what Mark was. So this man, Alan, will be able to defeat him in the end and clothesline him, mortal, sure, because he's not really on the same stand as Alan, even when he's not fully, going out. And that was when Alan got his Giga Chad sense. This base Alan, bare minimum, should stand way more of that. And there's the fact that, like, again, Alan, with his experience and capabilities, I feel like could do a lot more. Especially because of the fact that, like, Alan can do a lot more creative shit than these other people. From the fact that he's not only super durable, was considered by Thaddeus, who's a very knowledgeable person, to be able to maybe stand to a Viltrumite, and the fact that he was rocking with not just a Mark, who I think is way more better, credible, and stronger, was able to stand to a decent, scale Omni-Man. So, yeah, that's just kind of it for me. Next, you got this dude and this guy who, correct me if I'm wrong, like brothers or siblings, and they're considered to be, planet wipers or planet destroyers. So, even though that's a vague statement, the power gap should be so insurmountable that it should even be like, a comparison. They should be demonstrably way different. They should boom way more higher in a greater stand, right? In this metahuman tier, these are pretty much people of the highest regard of power stand, not just in planet surface stand, but capabilities of a ridiculous, whopping different scale. So that should be obvious. But this guy defeated a semi-Galactus-like foe, and destroy different versions of Mark and variants. So, yeah, there you go. A lot of people are going to scale upper because of that, the Mark variants. And the most iconic representation, there's 18 Marks, but in all variants, as like that's the iconic Mark variants in technical sense of like, what is iconically and canonically represented and accounted there and shit, you know what I'm saying? And the whole entire consistency of the verse, there's like 28, right? But obviously the iconic stamp, marks is 18, but there are 28 different record of, variants and accounts of people across the board. There are different variants of mark and or situation, and all of them are shown in a deeper form. They're more accounted, like I said, and insinuated, but this guy seems to have experience with them. So I would like to say that he has the capability, to bang with lower end Viltrumites or Viltrumite set like a low class warrior type stand, or at least can bang with people of planet decent level threat people. Yeah. Then this is Tech Knight when he to she, because I'm pretty sure Tech Knight is like a he or she person, like they're vague on gender. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm just gonna say they. Tech Knight defeated in case of a alternate Mark variant, was able to dispose of different opposition, different form of wars, fought in a war basically against, Omnibitus over here. That's his name. Is Omnibitus or Nomicus? I'm pretty sure it's Omnibitus. Omnibitus, and, it's said to be a unit. So, yeah, that's a G1 person. Then Brit is a very powerful, colossal person, having the capability to absorb energy, basically be like a Absorbent Man. Has great crazy capabilities and capabilities to do the most wild, berserk, shit when it comes down to not just physical strength, explosive deal, and is just a domination person, as he's able to go whole Buster Rhymes from Def Jam Fight for New York on niggas, and is built like Abomination when it comes down to, banging out. And he also has the capability, correct me if I'm wrong, like basically supernova nuke niggas. So depending on how the fight starts, he could obliterate anyone right off rip before then. And then again, it's like way physically stronger to outmatch niggas. So yeah, that's kind of my thing. Film in comparison, yeah, it's also like, relativation and speed to other people and stuff like that. Then this is Tech Knight with a higher upgraded suit. Now, because Tech Knight doesn't showcase too much what this upgraded suit would be like, I don't really know where to scale them, but I like to say that this suit makes it the speed and capabilities should outdo Brit to an extent, but I could see Brit, if they get their hands on them or booms, that atomic bomb out, could body them. But then you have Ekstrom Levy at first. This is basically Ekstrom Levy with his discount pimp suit, right? This is genre review Ekstrom Levy. He comes out of nowhere with the capability to hang decently and beat up a softened up, tired Mark. He has battle for removal, can pull a lot of hacks, see wild shit, and that would be the main problem. Everyone else, in comparison as well with this other Ekstrom Levy with his other shit, would either be too fast, durable, or could flat out wreck him before he could potentially do that, as he would decently be able to stand to these guys, or could battle for remove them, or pull a lot of crazy stuff. And to be fair, there's no one in the Invincible verse, correct me if I'm wrong, that actually has a whole indefinite encounter, right, with this dude, and could, come back from what he could hypothetically try to do and, hacks. But in his counteraction to this stuff, it's in a way a sense of, better perception and, big brain tick thinking. I mean, as you see with his ball sack head, he's able to vastly improve upon in the fight with his adaptive capabilities from having, all these pulsation of different thoughts and string of, manipulation of the multiverse and time of sending people to different points in distant realities and cases of shit like that. I mean, he's just a very, vast and powerhouse capabilities, but I would like to say that stuff can only sting so much in the sense of facing a guy that you either would be cocky against, his ego, or they would be so much more stronger and faster. So that's why Ragnar just a general Ragnar is above everyone else. Not just from being way stronger, showcase the capability to hurt Viltrumites, being demonstrably and dummy wildly different from not just speed and perception of, being a whatever the fuck creature of hell. This creature is able to go whole xenomorph to continent motherfuckers, and endurability and endurance is insurmountably a behemoth to take on. I mean, Ragnars can injure and do a great deal to higher Viltrumites. Now, granted, every Ragnar is to some extent different, but a general Ragnar is able to hurt the greatest, decently strong ones, and in a pack or an army of them, they can do crazy damage. So to me, no one here, unless they have the greater skill experience or at least has shown in a time stance to be a little bit distinctly above, a General Ragnar or at least bare minimum a General Viltrumite, right? Because that's really where the power scale stance, kind of gets into, where in this case the power scale stands as like a comparison and instead of a higher qualm of power stand. That to me makes this Ragnar alone in comparison as a hypothetical be way beyond what they can do. And what the motherfuckers can do in comparison to the Sequid host of just avalanche and pressure and boast of power is what a Ragnar can do just in general. It would just be a fucking splitting edge cheese whip around ass whooping. I mean, the Ragnar is just gonna V-Rex everybody, bro. It's gonna be chomp chomp, num num, King Shark activity, bro. Like, it's not even funny. Like, it's ridiculous to think about. And, like, there's no way that anyone could survive it from a mixed bag speed perception. And, the best chance, I feel like, for other people is either trying to get away from it in range and try blowing it up. But with the fact that, hypothetically, if they're on the planet of the Ragnars, the gravity and the versatility they have could not do too much boomingly different from the atmosphere cables of that. And the fact that Ragnar are very fast and have decent hops to be able to catch Thrag and Battle Beast mid-air, different, space making maneuvers. So I don't really think that's going to work, especially again if it's on the planet that we're talking about. And, only best effort, for Ancient Movie is to send it to another place. But I believe that a Ragnar would, squelch him before he could do that. He's going to get whacked immediately with the tail and get mosh pit violated. That nigga getting pit bulled as soon as he tries to pull that. So, yeah. Next is Terra, daughter of Invincible and Eve. She said by Mark to be very high potential Viltrumite. At her age, she's done things that he never thought to be possible for someone of her age and in comparison to him, like you said about Marky, but to a higher regard because they actually spar. Eve puts her in high, renown of being a very capable shorty. She's one of the greatest potential people, and I was thinking of possibly putting her in, question mark section, no scaling, right? Even though she has mixed decent hail and shit. I believe because of her speed, what she's done in the future of, shit, how in comparison she's been accounted to be similar to Ursula of great, capabilities and stand in the bigger and greater forms. And the fact that, she dealt with her own decent regard of people in the future and, has feats, even though what she was a, no repetition when I say that, a child. I would like to say that if we upform that, niggas accounting for this and how she's been described, Terra should greatly buck and best a great deal of people. But I think there's an argument maybe in like experience, skill, and mixed stance of like how we really perceive how they account her to be as Marky. It's a little bit more credible to say where he's at. I would like to say that Terra reasonably should be here, but I can see arguments and with anybody, to be fair, to a mixed bag regard, why it would be different, what I'm saying? But yeah, that's just kind of like, what her reasoning is for this. But without repetition, just to full conclude the other thing I was going to say before I talk about this mark, which is basically like post-season 2 mark for reference, is the fact that even though she was a child doing this stuff, that's not really, a concrete representation of it all. But the fact that when she was a child and she kicked Thrag and was decently trying to stand to different Viltrumites, Unlike other Viltrumites and other children of Thrag, she ain't blow up or get splooged or turn into fucking red Swiss cheese. She didn't turn into jelly trying to buck with niggas, alright? She didn't A-train herself. So the fact that even though that is, again, a small thing, that's not anything of big substantial shit. She doesn't drastically do anything different. The fact that she was able to do that shit and coming into full age, she would, I would say have some credibility, at least doing something. And don't get me wrong, she was harmed from that. Like, she then crackled her bone, like her heel snapped out or something. But the fact that her heel just snapped out and she was like fucking 7 or 8 years old is kind of crazy. I ain't gonna lie. But jokes aside though, with Mark post season 2, he beat Extreme Levy. Was able to counter his shit decently by speed, bang with these other people. Context took it into play, survived blows and hits from people of greater stand, and was fighting these Viltrumites, granted, because of him holding back in a mix of not trying to kill and having the same skill and experience. These Viltrumites were able to dominate him in a greater deal, and if he was fighting them one-on-one, it would not be good for him, and that goes for Terra. But I think that he stands to a great high credit of, being with, decent credited people, right? And, I think all around his reasoning and purpose for being where he is, not just in his mental state of, getting more in there in fights and having physical greater ounce of power and, experience at his disposal, and just being a very, admirable Viltrumite and hero across the boards, which is not entirely about just a character thing, just how he's fought other greater people. I feel like he could bare minimum push beyond. The only problem is, like, you could say he's not as strong as the other mixed Mark variants. The fact that, he's not stood to people of these caliber, right, at face value, but the fact he's able to fight some Viltrumites and not instantly get bodied and actually, like, put some work, actually deal some damage, fight back, nigga. You know what I'm saying? Again, a mix of mental escape, you know what I'm saying? Deal with the best of the best and not hold back. I think if you actually rock with this dude for long, he gonna unleash some might that you never thought. The fact is that he could push beyond a lot of what they could do, take it like a champ. He'd be Extreme Levy, obviously for mixed context, but in general, I think he would, again, outdo him. And Ragnar will be very much of a problem, but again, like his daughter Terra, from the experience, accounts, scale, and the fact they're on the planet, I think, again, it would be very much a problem. That's because the planet is a big counteraction to him. But I believe that Mark has showcased bare minimum the capabilities to push past that when it comes down to the bare minimum general Viltrumite. I also think that, like, if he was able to fight in an environment where Extreme Levy can beat the dog shit out of him in a place that obviously is not the same, but is a ruined, desecrated fuck place as well for a Viltrumite, mindset wise, I think he could push through and best a Ragnar to a bare minimum extent. He's not leaving unfazed, but I believe in Mark to beat a Ragnar. That's just me though. You can disagree there. And this is Greek team Oliver, aka young adult Oliver, long slick hair, built like a purple pencil, half sense way. Oliver, more getting into his Viltrumite DNA and peeking in the greater vessels, of feats and hands of the greater grandstand of, the Invincible war and conflicts, right? And so, yeah, Mark, in comparison, if this, comparison scale would be a mixed interesting fight for him, as I do think he's stronger. I don't think he's so distinctly stronger, but the fact is that from mix of the skill, training, build up, and the fact that he's fought greater, stronger Viltrumites and has done a greater regard of shit and has survived fights with not as much impending blows and decimation of his being and being the biggest detriment to him, I would like to say that he's a good deal stronger than his brother, but I can see bare minimum Mark doing something, but again, I think he's just way stronger. I think he's just a better version of Mark all around, right? And full of his DNA and that he's still a decent people. He's gotten compliments by Oni Man saying that he's done more than what was expected of him for his age, and the fact that he would have a lesser capability as not being full, more in compactment with Viltrumite blood. That I feel like showcases just what he can do, and having a very versatile healing factor. But then you have Robot, aka Rudy, of this Mark fucking 3000 peak grade A design. This is some for fucking Pacific Rim activity shit like that. This is funny to think about. I'm sorry, bro. Like, dog, Robot is so dummy capable in every regard of his tech and versatility to be had, that this man pretty much will make everybody look like an ant. Not just from speed, not just from hacks, not just in the matter of how he's able to bang with and tear and shred through people with his capabilities. The fact is that all his IQ has been blissing in the thousands and hundreds of thousands with this. He's a very smart, capable, and adaptive fighter. Has multiple plethoras of ways to best people. He's very deep in the credit of, that greater planet, destructive capabilities. He's a very experienced lad. And the fact is that these robots were able to subdue, body, and defeat countless of heroes and could solve any of these scenarios in ways that would never be expected, just because of how vastly peaker and greater that he is in comparison. I mean, this motherfucker again pulls something straight out of Pacific Rim. Motherfucker got the War Machine cracking it, also, a armor from like the New Gods. My nigga, like, he took the design principles and integrity to the most highest regard of technology building of Iron Man, and the craze, like, contingency plans and versatility that would be stolen from the New Gods in preparation for niggas from Batman. Like, he really about this action when he gets on, these fights, and never has to pull any ratty, pullback, whoppy-doo, rack of all trades stand to, people, right? He can bang out with a lot of people and give it 10,000-fold. And I really feel like Rudy, aka Robot, basically made akin to a Viltrumite Hulkbuster with this suit. I mean, he's a colossal different figure. Now, you might ask, why is he not near the other Viltrumites? I'm going to explain. Because even though he's able to bang with Viltrumites and people similar to them, the scaling chain is a lot more higher than what I'm like giving him praise for. This is arguably like half glazed. I'm not trying to keep the robot penis in my mouth. I'm just saying it's like Robot stands very high, but these other people have better quantum capabilities to best him. I also think it's like, these are more trained, elite, versatile, and more hacked out people, I guess, as Viltrumites, to say the least. But then you have Eve. And this is supposed to be Eve, like, bare minimum, like, I don't know, like season 2 or season 3. This is a great higher grade stand, Eve. And Eve, as obviously being a very hacksy, wild, creative person, I think can pull a lot of great capabilities of not just defense and, execution and confining people, immobilizing, making people deficient, dancing around them, whoppy-doo, Looney Tunes, creative, box art with things. I mean, she can just double down on maxing the bar for capabilities to fight and bang with people. And to me, I just feel like everything that everybody could try to do to her, she either has the speed, intellect, craft, and built different, versatility and adaptation to effectively dominate all these people. And I just feel like even then, a lot of what their strength and feats and speed can do could not counteract what she could do. And if she wanted to, she could nullify a lot of people's attacks by making always something more, so naturally stronger, could possibly eviscerate and cause different warp of arguably reality around her. Because there is a statement, even though this is more an omniscient state, which we're going to talk about, aka pretty much being Gwen Tennyson's state, Adam Eve, aka what the creator Robert Kirkman accounts as being basically Dr. Manhattan akin Eve to be able to best them in full, right? So, yeah. To me, I just feel like Eve at this point is reasonably that stronger. But everyone else, Omnibutus, right, being that, as Omnibutus, right, or Omnibutus, that's how you say his name. I don't know, that's even like how you would say it, because Omnibutus is totally different, from Omni-Man in comparison. So you would, it's supposed to mean in comparison, sorry, so my throat paused. But the full articulate Omnibutus being so much higher ground is stronger and taking literally basically the entire strongest of the world to best him, and the fact that if it wasn't for all them jumping him and context that isn't explained and arguably I think that they had to send him back to his reality, they couldn't defeat him all primarily just by jumping him. They couldn't Thanos this nigga. This nigga was way too powerful. So anything that Eve could try to do could not defeat him. And hypothetically, unless like you're beyond the bounds of what he is known to be, like these people are, or you have battle for removal, then I don't believe that Eve is beasting him. Now granted, I don't know if he could actually sufficiently kill Eve, so this is kind of a stalemate fight than anything else, but I just believe that he's going to be on top and will just burrow her in and body her most of the time primarily. Like, it's just ridiculous to say the least, I guess. But yeah, but then you have Dinosaurus, who was able to survive a decent record encounter against Thrag, hurt a great deal of different Viltrumites, destroyed multiple robot bots, and has stood as a top dog. Raptor Beast, a Belanca as character, I would consider to be basically the Goro of Mortal Kombat. This is a dominable, beheast, right? This is a behemoth, a multi-caliber, right? And I think from what he's been able to stand to, his ferocity, his killer instinct, the fact that this man is an unhinged dog, that he would just full be on the hunt and be ready to reaper motherfuckers out of commission. I mean, my man's gonna be trying to go for all vital organs, demon time, crafty gorilla out here, bro. Like a shark hunting, dog walking. Glaze is not even a fucking statement at this point. It's just facts, bro. Like, you might say it's an understatement to hype him up, as this man is a great fighter and eviscerator, like I said before. But the fact is, he's a character. He's one of the most interesting, methodic, and decisive, killers and creative case of motherfuckers, right? To be able to pull different forms of Whoppy-Doo record of capabilities, right? Get a movement of shit, and, is a multi-range of wrecking and rocking with motherfuckers on a very high standing. So again, I believe that he would be here being able to do this, because this motherfucker's bite force, even though the only showcasing of this was when his entire teeth got wrecked, like he literally had his shit fucking be shattered off of motherfucker. The fact is that his jaw is being able to decently survive in that chomp of the head of Thrag, and Thrag just looking like he got tickled by that shit. The fact is, I feel like if this man tried going for anybody in any chomp sense, it would be a megalodon level of just optic, shroom sculpt of motherfuckers. Like, being his chomp would be so hard that as soon as he would go for it and land it, it would be so much of a crush that it's like an optic size shroom of you left. This nigga could legit gator almost everyone below, I think, just in general, right? He's like a Ragnar on crack, in my opinion. But yeah, you got Engstrom Levy, who with his technology, big brainness, nigga got a whole ass fucking carpet mangled forehead head. Like, I'm still on this man's design. Like, it's peak design, but my god, bro, this nigga's brain is disconfigured to new lenses built like spaghetti. Man got a whole fucking mango case pot of ravioli on his head, bro. God damn. Besides that, bro, like, from his technology, his cunning, his very ruthless tides of, creativity with battlefield removal, I believe that he could do the same thing they did before, but now he has the speed, greater craft, he's more durable to a mixed bag, and could do a lot of great capabilities with that being said, and does not give up. I mean, this man's stern stance and always trying to outdo anybody tied to Invincible or any heroes is creative to say the least, and he is a dog when it comes to all his plans of war. And even if you could somewhat decently get into great deal damage him, I believe that he will push through the storm and has a lot of the velocity and not just speed and range with his cases of drones slash cameras and other bullshit, that he could swarm you with that, pull different cunning undersized manner of things like that, and basically sweep you on your feet. And when it comes down to his tactical maneuvers, could body a great plethora of these people, and not just sweeping you under your feet, push you behind your back, and just do things that no one has been able to fight. I mean, he's very unorthodox, calculated, crack of all different cases, unique operation of powers and pool of technology. I just think that he would be, crazy. I mean, I feel like my man is basically technological Doctor Strange out this bitch. He could really warp a nigga mind in multi-record of field, and a lot of people not face something like that. And so to me, I feel like we're not just being stronger, greater technology, interpretation, battle for removal. He could poison a lot of people with his great boast and strength and capabilities. And it's only if, like, I don't know, someone like Dinosaurus or Omnipotus hit him, where it's going to be a big stinging, like, unfortunate situation. But mixed with the experience as well, to make big talk about, he has, I think, a lot of proud, understandable assumption that he could outmaneuver them and close the gap in speed and range very profusely enough to do that. And you have these two no-name Viltrum. Let's talk about this hairline real quick, bro. Like, goddamn, that shit is to the center of this nigga head, bro. Your scalp is legit breaking back out all that shit, bro. This nigga got a whole fucking parking lot for his hairline, bro. U-turn inside ass hairline, bro. God damn. Nigga got a fucking underwear skid mark patch on his fucking head, bro. That's crazy. Anyway, besides roasting the Viltrumites' atrocious grooming, when it comes to these Viltrumites, from not only standing easily to Omni-Man and banging out to a greatest grace of, hard A, full-fledged, hanging with Mark and Omni-Man, having the boast and credibility of, being very trained, elite Viltrumites to be sent out. The fact that Viltrumites of the smaller proportions of, grandstand fighting capabilities and rank are able to hurt Omni-Man being tortured, even though mix of him wanting to be tortured, conflicted, and not really giving a fuck in the end, about anything. I would say that they showcase decent stand to say that, yeah, they should reasonably be here. And I think that this is very credible. And like anything that actually anyone else could do, they either have been able to stand a little bit more to, they have a higher regard. I feel like they reasonably should be here by also take of like speed and doing a lot more than what others who are either non-scalable or not very comparable to be said can. And it's also like how they were considered and showed in the fights at hand to be like as being guys that can pull what Omni-Man, someone like Invincible, and a vast greater like recognizable to the general speed scaling to do. Like, they're not one-off Viltrumites that I think a lot of these people could just tear through and best. But I do understand the argument where, like, okay, a lot of some people maybe can do things that they can't really counter. From Eve's, manipulation of reality around her, robots, tech, hacks, and great craft and mind, Omnipotus' pure strength. This, Rex over here on the right being too much of a deeper end powerhouse, and Dinosaurus is having great crafty you know, unorthodox Ravager capabilities. I mean, the motherfucker can basically be akin to Wolverine and sticking it out through the most harsh environment and colossal scale. Makes it kind of you perceive that they could really dish out the same efforts of, you know, very advancing through pain and willpower of the multipore of, you know, damage and, you know, loopholes of, you know, the, you know, reality warping and shit like that on the same level that Mark is. So a lot of like it is a mix of experience, skill, and mental scope, I feel like, to really try to stand proud. But to me, even if you as well you want to talk about they could really stand to a Ragnar, I feel like they're just way faster, smarter. They're always bloodlusted. They're always on demon timing, and they here to strike first, strike hard, no mercy. Cobra Kai timing. I believe that they would just best everybody. Good deal. And again, it's only the mixed bag of the hacks of Ancient Levy that I feel like could deal a little bit more. But just to get on to the next year, this is obviously getting long, right? Probably gonna push up to an hour point by the time I'm recording this. So just good. I feel like this like a better, strong, you know, tier list and like run time. Even though my other tier list being long, even though there's only two tier lists of a dummy whopping, you know, long scale, with one of them being about, you know, obviously ranking every superhero TV show and movie that's pushing, you know, 5 hours long. It seemed like in recording, but in truth it's 4 hours and 9 minutes something. And then my God of War Power Skin tier list that I really think is harshly, you know, wrong, and at the same time, you know, is a thing to be checked on, even though I still agree minorly in some different aspects of it, right? Obviously, for it being 2 hours long, so that's the best thing. But this, you know, I could be wrong again. As you know, I'm gonna show this to some people in the Discord that I'm in and other people. You guys might disagree with me on this, and that's reasonable. And like I said, there's a lot of mixed arguments to say for the people. Is this, again, this is my opinion, this is where I stand, and I feel like this is a more strong, consistent, and reasonable protest, you know, ting for a tier list, right? And yeah, pretty much it, to say the least. But to finish off metahuman tier, what is being said with Oliver and Lucan over here, Unc Oliver, aka Pure Viltrumite DNA Oliver, was able to stand to a decent great run of Viltrumites, was able to bang out and stand pretty proud against, you know, the odds that came with the case of, you know, Thrag and his family running up on their farmstead. He's able to run up and, you know, bang out with other people beforehand, has a decent great competitive experience, was accounted by his own father to really step up to a greater plate than what's been seen before. And everything I said about the two other Viltrumites beforehand, what is being said, I feel like he would just stand way greater in a different shit. Could best with his skill and shit, so he's arguably fighting stronger Viltrumites from training and operation. I believe that Oliver, at this point, was a pretty decent, bar none, Viltrumite, and has, you know, progressed and skilled in time, say that he's here. Now, I think he's very contingent with Lucan. Lucan is mainly here because of his rank commission of where he was, as being a basically keen to a vanguard brawler beast of Viltrumites. I mean, he was just a fucking demon when it came down to stamping his foot down and banging with other people. I mean, I basically call this dude the Jax and credit of like George Foreman of the verse. Man is a slugger. Man got boulders for hands and can just go tone to tone, bang for bang, bing for bing with niggas. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's a really honorable motherfucker. Not just on the fact of him changing in a solemn way, because Lucan is one of the most interesting Viltrumites to me, but in accounting for the craft of his capabilities, being on the whole base of being able to look unappealing as a Viltrumite and shred so demonstrably to a big bone extent that he pretty much just came out the wet work, being able to colossus motherfuckers. Even like, he's a very chatted nigga when it comes down to his fighting craft and, you know, what he's able to do to other niggas. And, you know, to substantiate this is the fact that even though he was getting overpowered and more or less body throughout the fight with Omni-Man. The fact that he was able to stand to him in the first encounter on Thraxa, to a decent extent, shows that. There's the fact that he was able to crack his back, able to full-on fodder, ragdoll, and stand greatly to other cases of his races. And, I feel like all around how he's accounted and considered, and the fact that he was held in decent regard by Thrag, that he should be a high standing Viltrumite. And to pull back on my point in case anybody thinks it's weird, is gonna feel like this is a very solid protest of actual, reasonable shit in this tier list. Even with its length, unlike, my other tiers in comparison, even with the context for it being, this and this, and my last tiers I talked about being 4 hours long was still crazy. Being, every superhero movie and TV show ranked. There's a lot of contingent, mixed, possible pullback in this shit, right? And again, this is one of the showcases where it can be contingent. But again, my strong reason is, again, being over there and people of different parts of his races, in the sense of, experience, dominating and besting people of higher regard of that, fighting his own race, and just, having a great, plethora of statements or hail as being a pretty roundabout Viltrumite, to say the least, I guess. But yeah, that's pretty much it for metahuman tier. For sub-boss tier, which is another great deal of things, you have Thaddeus, who, even though a lot of people have mixed perception about where he should stand, from his hail being considered to be the great betrayer, because obviously killing the King Azrael, aka the ex-emperor to Grand Regent of the Viltrumites before Thrag. The fact that he was able to stand a great deal to a greater run of Viltrumites and defeat them. He was in help with the destabilization of Viltrumite's core and blowing it up, right? Has great speed, scale, experience, wisdom, great accolades of being one of the strongest and underutilized Viltrumites and different scuffles and shit, because of the fact that, he is not a very outgoing brawler as other motherfuckers, even though he's over here built like Odin and Baldur combined. He doesn't stand as like one of the more peaker great fighters of the Viltrumite empire / race. Is you have to understand that we don't exactly know, correct me if I'm wrong, confidently how he killed Argo. I think there's a panel of when he was younger killing him with some type of stake, and he killed him obviously because of the bad day he did. He was in compliance with, the person, or in the case of the way to give the Viltrumites the Scourge virus, and survived multiple cases of things involving Viltrum, not just only killing Argo, surviving the desolation and devastation of Viltrumites from themselves, killing each other off to see who was weaker and stronger. Their race was cut in half, tied with the Scourge virus. So again, he's been for a great deal of things, so not just only on experience, skill, counting for how he stood to other people. I would like to say, even though he might not be as the most greater skilled Viltrumite in comparison to everybody else that is a Viltrumite here, and having the greatest record of experience and capabilities, I like to say how mixed bag, how he's been considered and hailed, and obviously strongest of the coalition of planets at one point, and being a top dude and being a very interesting character. He's voiced by Peter Cullen, who's the GOAT, Optimus Prime himself. Jokes aside, I would like to say that, he should be here. I think he's very reasonable to be a top dude Viltrumite, again, from speed, experience, and capabilities. I think he has a reasonable, assumption to be here. And yeah, pretty much it. Then we have Ursula's twin brother, Queen Fade Boy, just like his father, right? Purple Adonis over here, from not just banging out with different forms of, the cast and standing pretty proud of other people, his unhinged school shooter, MMA fighter activity shit. I would like to say that he should win, as on some Ryan McCarthy shit with his skill and capabilities. I would like to say that he should dominate great plethora of people and be able to fuck up Thaddeus to the greatest extent. But the next person being Eve, of her pretty much peakest stand, in account of her being, greatly well experienced and vast greater knowledge and capabilities like no other at this point, and being, at a good stand against most greater run of Viltrumites and people along those lines, and having great versatility, healing factor, this, all that. I like to say that everything I said about her before, she could do to a more crazy regard and could haul, these two Viltrumites with so much rack of all trades versatility that would pretty much like be a stampede of so many basically mental and physical gymnastics that it would be too much and would just allow her to be able to dam them out, and all different type of projection and capabilities and physical might and boast of that shit. She could best them, and she was able to hold her own greatly against them, and even in the Viltrumite war and different shit like that. So yeah, to me, I just feel like she has reasonable regard being here. Then we have Thula, Conquest, and Craig. Now, you can switch all these people around. To me, I think it's based off of rank and what they've been shown to do. Thula was able to survive a decent record encounter with Battle Beast, even though obviously it was, in space and not with his full capabilities and shit. I think Thula, right, her style, ingenuity, very vast range of possible experience to give her, but this very, creative vascular capability. I mean, first of all, she got a fucking scorpion tail ponytail. Is a very clean, sufficient martial artist and can stand to greatest round of different people and put a little bit of harm and work on not just someone like Mark and Omni-Man for a time, and is a very, how should I say this, warmonger-esque raping your skin activity person. Like, she is a killer of a lot of creative ways and is indecisive in how she wants to play it out in some occasions, or maybe it might not seem like it because of the record of people she's fighting. So she's not as peak strong, but because of her rank, accolades, and hail, and mixed interpretation of how the show would represent the counting of what she has done in the comics, she was considered to be like third strongest of like the most elite, like commanding conqueror, pillagers of worlds, Viltrumites. So I like to say that she has reasonable esteem and great run of things in her capabilities, even if she's not the most peak brain Viltrumite in her experience or craft, as she's kind of like a meathead. It's like some gauge of what she does. Because this is where she's going to be fighting and going about shit where she kind of just get left to be a fucking, like, means to an end. Like, she's very much a pushover in some greater run of people. But to be fair, these other people are, stronger and all that shit. And these other people, that I'm mentioning about have shown way more consistency to really be, like, more or less better and all that shit. But to me, I'm just saying it's like, with her, she has a lot of great, reasonable record for why she's where she's at, and has great skills and cunning shit. And, her and Eve are very contingent. But the reason why I put her over Eve and other people that you might think, oh, how could Thula beat, is simply, again, off of the record for what she can do and skill and capabilities, and the fact that, arguably in speed, that she could cut through her defenses, beam through them, punch through them, and just, even with all blisters of this and this and this capabilities of creation and observation of, like, craft and other shit, I think that Thula just has the stylistic delivery of executioner record of capabilities that she could just kind of steamroll that shit and eventually blam Eve into oblivion, or, rip her a new one. I mean, I feel like she's just gonna be out here Jack the Rippering for motherfuckers. But again, with her smarts and tactical delivery, maybe not being on the same greatest high count, you might say that she might fall back on those deliveries of capabilities that she has, just because she's not in the same standpoint of, most peak precision, like, type person. But that's just me. Then you have Conquest, who, from his experience, hail and be one of the most oldest and strongest Viltrumites, being feared by motherfuckers, standing to a mark that's over here for reasons I'll explain, and being one of the most strongest motherfuckers and being said to be third to second strongest Viltrumite at one point would be here. From his rank and accountings, I think he has a reasonable gauge to be here. I know that Thula and Craig are a higher rank than him, but again, from his experience and capabilities and the fact that rank is not defined by skill, like your rank does not represent how you are in skill and your capabilities, it is highly valued to represent what you can do in comparison to other cases of like Viltrumites and Thrag being the Grand Regent, King, Emperor, whatever you want to call him, would determine that being the general grandstand of, peak for Viltrumite. Like if you're over another person in rank, you have exceeded the bars for what a Viltrumite bare minimum should do to be at the rank before. I think Conquest has a reasonable scale from his cybernetic arm and other record of shit to be there. But I can understand how Dula maybe could best him in her style and other shit. But I'd like to say that Conquest is like a very high key demolisher, dummy, built different, gaze of a dude, you know what I'm saying? Like, the dude, first of all, is epitome of Black Air Force energy. That's number one. Man is a rolling stone of fury, battle hardened demon with experience, mixed skill, accolade, very strong, is a bully, man, can fauterize people like no other, and is a big ass, tank of a dude. I mean, he could just go about slapping around multiple people around, and because of his speed and great credit of, advancement and fight through different bloodthirst and porous into, different countings of the most highest regards of, fighting, I feel like would stick it out more. It's also taking in his technique of being able to single-handedly spear man through niggas with his body. I mean, what he did to Eve was nasty. That was still of none but immaculate, demonic creativity. That motherfucker is a menace to the galaxies, bro. On some Battle Beast shit, but not even on the same multi-vast record of, acclaim. Because Battle Beast, bro, that nigga is the king of the universe, bro. Lion of multi-beast behemoth proportions, bro. Not even kidding, bro. That is a whole new colossal record of Black Air Force energy, bro. But besides, hype up the nerd shit, Craig, because of his rank, the fact that he stood up to Thrax and that Conquest will never do, and great base of skill and position of being this and this and this creative person, the fact that his skill, great, suffice to say, tactical mind and generalistic stand would put him here. I feel like Craig is a mixed essence of being like the Spartacus and like Jin Sakai of the verse. He's a very skilled, very profound in mind, and suffice to say, most acclaimed credit of general, but his speed mixed with the record of like his greater essence of like skill and capabilities to others, and the fact that Thrag hold him in a decent record of regard, and the fact that he was able to decently bang with Thrag and was able to harm Omni Man at one different case of point. I would like to say this is a very reasonable credit of scale to him. I just think like problems like Conquest a little bit more stronger, and I don't know. Thula has better credit of maybe technique in some aspects, which you could say for both of them, but I think his efficient skill, smarts, and grandstand of, better rep of the hands being so, elusive will probably make him best them, even if they have better magnitude of strength or style, But then Ursula was highly trained, claimed, trusted by her father, was able to wipe out planets by herself, wreck house, stand to the greatest record of people, has so much infinite pool potential, and is the strongest Viltrumite woman probably ever, and has great credit of skill and claim of this and this and this, and can pull a great level of, destruction, and is a beast, you know what I'm saying? I mean, Shawty is a hyena because of glorified dominating, you know what I'm saying? This Shawty is a unwounded lioness, to say the least. So, yeah, simple as that for also. Then you have, Mark being Mark, like, at his highest record of, fucking blue and black Air Force energy. Obviously, he reasonably should be, his people at his peak with his training, skills, capabilities. He bested Conquest for multiple record of context and talk, but he still bested him. And yeah, to show with his rage, amp, adrenaline, greater skill, training, experience, and accolades of toughing out, banging it out through all the different odds and cases, that he is, invincible for a reason, right? With his mental and his purpose, and reasonably should have, stood over these people, multi-crossroads. I think the only problem would be not just only from the bloodlusted affair, even though he full is wreaking that bloodlusted activity and is standing on business most of the time in almost every way, and actually has suffice hands. I think it's only the fact of mixed skill and experience kind of leveling out a better playing field to more decisively get the victory. But I think Mark has shown the strength, willpower, and stuff to best them as a whole. So, yeah, that's kind of how I see it. Then you have Anissa, who, for obvious reasons, should, unfortunately, disgustingly, outdo Mark and be stronger. But in comparison to everybody else, she had a bloodlustful crave and unique potential that was, hailed and very intrigued standing by Thrag, saying that she is a loose cannon, but a very, useful and versatile loose cannon. The fact that she can stand to the greatest emphasis of, high key, dominating, craze, wild form, shorty, right? And unfortunately, even though we can talk about the mental affair and click of also, the physical aspects of what happened, but I'm not gonna power scale rape. I'm just not. And at the end of the day, it's been shown multiple times in encounter, even when their first encounter happened, that Anissa is way stronger than Mark. So yeah, I don't think we need to explain that. And by all record different heights of what she can pull and capabilities and her arguable, so much dirty, raw of, the most, like, tussle with a fucking coyote crack fiend for blood activity shit will be so much a higher emphasis that she would, not just with skill, not just with her rank, not just with the hail, but at scale to other Viltrumites and people and taking blows from people stronger than her, be able to outbang with these people to a great degree. I also think that she would overlast them from her endurance, speed, because she's very fast, and, is a proficient shawty. Now, this Mark isn't a Mark. This is supposed to be Marky. This is hypothetically him older, looking exactly like his daddy. This is supposed to be Marky. This is Marcus. This is Omni-Man's grandson, a.k.a. as well. Gabby's grandson, obviously. Big Dog, the legacy holder and truth of Mark, a boy born from tragedy and disgusting means, but came out the gold standard of what it means to be a tragedy turned triumph. You know what I'm saying? A man that was just hot and depressed, but became better through willpower and heart of gold. The goddamn goat. I'm gonna stop. But yeah, this is Marky. Mark's obviously second son, right? From the claim by Mark up here, he's done more than what he could do at his age. And this is like what young adult Mark being like, depending on how we perceive it, he's like 19, 23, around different age of blue and black Mark. So I would like to say, taking that statement, he should be reasonably up here. But as well, unlike his, older sister, right, that he actually sparred with Mark and showed decent motivation to him. Now, Mark was not going full all out. They were obviously sparring, and, sparring is a mixed contextual thing, context, mindset and efficiency in the works. But Marky was able to stand to him and gave him a great decent fight, and they were fighting almost fucking bare-chested. So I'd like to say that Marky gave him a great glorified run of hands and showcased great efficiency, not just only in skill, might, and prowess, to, I would say, proudly get him up here. So yeah, Speed Racer, a very crazy motherfucker. Now, Speed Racer's gun is insane. Like, I'm pretty sure that unless like you're one of these top dog mixed motherfuckers, like in a mixed wank of what he can do, because this nigga's gun can destroy stars. That's why he's such a colossal stinging different motherfucker. That if he ever shot anyone and it got a hit off, if he just point blank hit you, your ass is getting atomized, disintegrated, dispersed, evaporated. My nigga dissolved of existence. And he's a very cracked speed racer, dude. Right? Motherfucker's speed is crazy. He's a beaming rocket moving at the speed of light with his fucking gun. He's crazy. But here's the thing, is that obviously people have way better capabilities of being faster, this and this and this. A great deal of people below and even higher feared his gun. But with the tick of what he could do, and not just speed, experience, and skill, I like to say that he could definitively and definitely shoot these niggas, put them out of commission. His other tech with his, racing capabilities, from able to pull crazy angles, being a very elite shot, and is so dramatically built different with the fact that with his hot rod, aka his case of bike, right? His basic fucking Lobo motorcycle in space, he's able to do a lot of crazy matter of shit that'll be able to allow him to get the angles to not only pole drive through people, but to blitz on a crazy activity. So unloading all that shit at people would allow him to definitely, basically, get the upper hand through outlasting people and wearing people down. Because this shit, no one can take effectively without just entirely getting dispersed of existence or getting more damage dealt to them than what they can take. And I just see anyone trying to out-hack it, trying to blitz it, trying to blitz in between, he gonna always have the better creative, defense. To me, he's basically Justice if he had nukes for fucking ammo. This nigga just gonna be popping off too much, and I don't see anybody getting to him, effectively. Everyone else here just has the reasonable speed scaling or mixed creative wank and true, because, I don't think anyone really scaling the true count to star level activity, right? Only speed racer reasonable with the case of his gun, especially because his gun more or less dissolves at a fundamental atomic level. It's more akin to like a HF bullet than a true full-fledged, account for being, a dwarf star level exploding thing. He doesn't actually plow and just burst open stars like fucking pinatas, but more or less like is a high craze, shooting dude on different record of shit, right? And, I'm not saying that he doesn't have any, status of being a crazy, powerful dude in comparison, because obviously I put him up here for a reason. I don't want anybody to take it like that, because I know some people can perceive it like that, right? So, like, simply put, all I'm saying is that even though he has great shooting capabilities and can do all this other shit, it's not on the same extreme of possible, actual satiation of that feat if we want to take into how his gun works. But I could be wrong. There's also pick of also whatever possible mixed scale section of where these characters before him and above him go. As again, these people are very powerful, but not on the same extremes with the gun, and obviously the people over him are way wickedly more powerful. Starting with Alan. This is Alan, like, pre to post of his general Giga Chad status for not only being numerously times stronger than these other people, scaling to a Nolan, and arguably way stronger than Nolan, as I don't know this is the version of him, no, this is the version of him, but he could pull the same mixed credit of, being able to maybe stand and beat the shit out of Nolan, but it's the fact that he could be a lower form version of Nolan, right? And everyone else here just numerous times never shown any credibility in being near his strength, near his capabilities, of his speed and intellect, and time with the experience of what he can do. He's just a fucking unit. I mean, my man Allen is the top dog of no case of things, bro. My man is the Ben Grimm, reporting for duty and ready to body. You know what I'm saying? So, Yeah. Then you got Grand Red Suit Mark. Now, this is Mark after defeating Thrag for obvious context, right? But it's pretty much peak Mark into the series Mark. This is completely, Grand Regent, King, Emperor Mark, and starting phase. Now, obviously, we know that Mark was not stronger than Nolan, if bare minimum. He was half partially like relative to him, and that goes for Thrag as well. But Mark, after all his experience, accolades in case of, different heights and trauma and tribulations, I feel like has grown reasonably in hail and acclaim. And so you have multiple, you know, Viltrumites and people have perceived him to be one of the most strongest in regards of capabilities when it comes down to being, a Viltrumite and skill, warriorhood, and this best of the best might and capabilities at hand, right? And, you know, I believe that Mark is a very skilled, high key, normally time, way more willpowered, and vastly different in mental state from that point, as there's no longer any contingent, how should I say this? What's typically like? There's not any confliction, but also no stumbling in heart or in form of fighting, as he has grown vastly different from his fighting self. He's an extreme, bare to the bone, ding in and out fighter. My man is crazy with the capabilities of going off. Has been endured the most toughest shit. Has full on fucked around and find out and still stood tall. Has defeated or bested people way stronger at this point than everyone else. And has showcased credibility to be there reasonably. And in comparison, hell, I would like to say that he was and definitely the top dog of Viltrumite in full sin, right? But then you have Omni-Man, and this is Omni-Man, opposed to being counted as mixed king. Hold on. Did I heard a noise downstairs? Okay. Up out there. Anyway, to go ahead and say something for his family member getting up, I was trying to full say that this Omni-Man of, his great, extremes and acclaim of being a pioneer peak Viltrumite, not just in skill and experience and accolades, and is a very stark contrast dude to a lot of people, for not just his skills, capabilities, and multiple forms of accolades and acclaim. The fact that Thrag hold him in a high station. He is the son of Grand Admiral, aka the case of the Emperor of Viltrumites before he's royalty. This man pretty much was basically the prince of the Viltrumites, prince of all Saiyans, and with his Vegeta-like comparison, gives reasonable assertion and claim of being basically akin to that. So I think he's gonna Ragu beat the hell out of and body a lot of people. Then this is Super Giga Chad Allen. This is Space Ranger Allen. This is Ben Grimm coming with Mr. Clean. Tick have also given the fucking strength record. Oh, I basically feel like a mix of being the most physically threatening motherfucker Invincible at this time, but just his full standpoint of being a Goliath type motherfucker. Like I'm talking from DC Comics. This nigga was forearms and niggas. He was just bodying motherfuckers constantly, back to back. There was nothing these niggas could do. So to me, I believe that Allen has all reasonable scale, height, and carryability to best these people, and was basically top 3 strongest people in the verse by all reasonable record. But yeah, next we have Thrag, who should be self-explanatory. I mean, Thrag at this point was the strongest Viltrumite, strongest character in the verse, arguably. Top dog, menace, was multiple times absolutely a demon with shit. A beast. Black Air Force energy, perpetually built different. Being a menace is an understatement. Ultimate threat. Man single-handedly was going on different scourge, wreck hell, and then, you know what I'm saying, motherfuckers. I mean, he's the guy who Grover told you not to worry about. I mean, look at the mustache, bro. That nigga is frowning with just his mustache. He don't even got lips normally, bro. Man's just a whole beast, bro. So this fucking Ivan Drago of space type nigga was able to single-handedly slug, cauterize, obliterate. I mean, nigga ripped the body apart of Thaddeus. You know what I'm saying? Like, my man went about not just dog beating the shit out of Omni-Man, even though Omni-Man, you know, was able to send to him a greater deal after getting jumped by multiple people and, you know, getting rebelled by his own people. But the fact that he was able to send to him was a decent thing. Alan feared the hell out of him. And again, he ripped the body apart of Thaddeus. Glitched this nigga's head off immediately. Man went whole hound on him, bro. I mean, he is the lion of the verse, more akin to Battle Beast with that statement. But Battle Beast is so different animal. And that's where we get to this nigga Battle Beast. So this is Battle Beast with his weapons. We're disregarding the honor code that is departed from conversation immediately, if arguably he's over here, right? Because the context of how he lost was a bunch of things. But Battle Beast was a simple standpoint case of, you know, the most hardest veteran elite banger with, you know, the not just drip, craft capabilities, martial arts, vast multiplexer of experience. He's the scourge of the twin galaxies. He basically was the Broly of the verse. And, like, he just has so many standpoints of, you know, being the highest regard of menace and beast like no other. I mean, this man craves blood so much. He goes on unyielding conquest like no other. He was a threat to not multiple Viltrumites, but thousands, it seemed like, taking on multiple niggas in space when he was at disadvantage. On planets when he has decent ground and equalism, he was of the most highest regard. And he was going to go about full finishing this man Thrag if he didn't have backup come to his aid, which then he'd been slaughtered dozens of different Ragnars. And even with having his weapons still intact, he would not want to face Thrag with the weapons, because it's not honorable, not just from Thrag having split intestines, but the fact that he was still numerous times stronger. But if we disregard the fact of him wanting to equal things with, you know, ditching his weapons and injuring himself and ditching the greater armor capabilities of his, Battle Beast should be numerous times way more stronger, not just in skill, not just in capabilities, not just in defense, not just in durability, but all claim and record. The ultimate threat to the Viltrumites, the king of the battlefield's lion, Battle Beast, nigga. Simple. Long time, you know what I'm saying? But next we get to the boss tier, where we have Grand Regent Threat. This is hypothetically after defeating Battle Beast, getting a basic Zenkai boost and getting boosted in the plane of, you know, capability to do shit. I know this isn't Grand Regent Thrag at that point. I don't know exactly what picture frame is supposed to be, because, like, they're two different arts, but obviously there isn't a Thrag with him wearing the fucking skinned hide of Battle Beast, which was cold as fuck, by the way. Peak drip, you know, Viltrumites are the swagger niggas, bro. This clean A designs, bro. Like, I'll tell you this, bro. Invincible never gonna have bar, you know, in their designs, bro. They never gonna have nothing of uncleanliness, right? They're never gonna have bad art design. They're gonna have bark in their art design. They're never gonna have anything down formation. Sorry, has in my throat. Been talking for a long minute, but to simply suffice to say, even if I don't have, you know, this clean AK design for a king that's supposed to represent it. I know this is a white snow coat thing. You got a Doomfist outfit going on, but yeah, like, simply put, this outfit is supposed to represent hypothetically his greater growth and power and capabilities. And Grand Regent Thrag would be here, not just from the record of him, you know, being to be still highest top dog credit of Viltrumite. This nigga has the greatest claim, boast, and baseness of power, even 1,000 times full than what he was here. From the fact that not only defeating Battle Beast, again through context, the fact that he's able to lay the smackdown to multiple former Viltrumites, put down anyone that dare opposes him, stamp his foot down on countless cases of people's necks, and they can't do nothing to him. and the fact that Thrag is the most highest grade A take of, demon and prevalent menace. I mean, he's literally just single-handedly the most crushing threat ever. And the fact that, he threatened that a form of, devastation plan upon not just Earth, but the entire universe to mark his territory doesn't even have to be done by everyone else. I mean, he was so confident in his capabilities, and if it wasn't for the context for his loss, with a mix of his arrogance, being dragged over to a sun by Mark and battling him out on the edge of the sun, and them both getting slowly but not even too much of a overpass threateningly being, skinned in the entire thing, and these niggas just getting melted, getting full roasted, my nigga, over here looking like steaks, and it was still fighting. No skin. Dick hanging out and everything. Niggas was full fighting. There's also the record that, he's so much more powerful than every other Viltrumite other than Quam. I mean, he said with this version that a small few Viltrumites could tear apart the Earth, and he's demonstrably stronger than that. So, like, he should be bare minimum more stronger high key than what these people are. Which, if we wanted to say a general bare minimum credit for where, most of the verse stands, especially the highest Viltrumites and other people, should be like, like a great deal of, small planetary to planetary feats, right? Deep as to say properly in scale a comparison. Like, let's start with Omni-Man as a reference. He should stand reasonable counting from a small planetary plus to planetary by all record of accounts of the Viltrumites are able to hurt him. The fact that, someone like Thrag, who's obviously very knowledgeable for them, he's the king of the Viltrumites. Shut the fuck up with that whole, what is the reasonable qualm and statement and, credibility and that. Like, saying that they could tear apart Earth if they wanted to in a very small amount of time, scaling to obviously the explosion of Viltrum, but obviously with context and presence effective, being able to stand decently to Thrag, and the fact that in comparison record, again, with the poor of that consistency, starting all the way back to, here, which is like a post season 2 to season 3 bare minimum, and then going up, that's where they should bare minimum high key scale, tied with the fact of, obviously, motherfucker like Omni-Man standing to the highest of those boasts, and then you got people who stand way higher than those boasts, even including Allen, right? That should be more confidently there. He, at this point, should be grade A standpoint of that, making him be bare minimum scuffing of like large planetary at your highest regard, which I don't even think is unsensible wank, right? But yeah, that's just pretty much what this Thrag is supposed to represent. This is the beast Thrag. And don't get me wrong, these people can still be relevant to him, aka relative in comparison, but this would just be a Thrag that's like numerously times stronger. And if it wasn't for a bunch of context and, having a drag out fight of the Sun and Mark playing, bob and weave game, he was Sonic Swain in that bitch, right? That's probably the only reason. So, yeah, that's pretty much it. Then you have Allen, 100 to 500 years in the future, looking like Ben Grimm, a whole big ass, numerous times stronger version. As with this version, not only in size is he multiple claim way bigger, man's built like an entire case of BMW 35, truckload of muscle and gorilla strength, but both to the fact that he is the strongest of the coalition of governments, has surpassed a great, lay of claim and stance of people before, as he's done a great deal with market and account of people of this time on multi-case scale, and has, been perfectly fine in those talks and things like that. And, for how much time this is and training or whatever, would reasonably substantiate the high-key different scale so much that all the people before him, he would be so much of a dominating, different case of figure with, that simply put, he would just be, a whole way stronger. I mean, I don't really know more to say. It's like he just is the greatest record of possible not just strength and skill, but in numerous hypothetical hail and feats because of the fact that he surpassed a great long deal of people. But the main thing that really substantiates where he stands is the fact he's able to scale to this mark, right? And even though it was for a low ting, the fact that by all accounts he was going all out and was DC able to shrug and deal damage to him, and Mark was obviously able to overpower him pretty easily and prove to him that, bro, I'm a big dunzo now. You can't rock with me. Stay in your place and put you down if I wanted to. I'm gonna make peace. I'm gonna prevail at this, and there's nothing you could do about it. Please take your fucking brown silicone drone from Star Wars ass on somewhere, bro. This man basically made him look like a chicken nugget on the floor, and that man was donezo. But again, with all the record accounts of what he can do, claim, stance of what he's done, the fact that Allen is always growing more immensely stronger, the fact that he was able to stand to him and do that, I think would give him reasonable coverage to being way more stronger. Then this is Eve, Mark's wifey, being, in her omnipresent state. That is from having numerous unsensibly OP, wild, Dark Manhattan level craft and capabilities of stuff to dimensionally reality theoretically evaporate and close all everybody from even having the capability to perceive and or touch her. She just should be numerous times way more hacked out and obviously fast and could body everybody in multi-high potential as Eve with this state on some Gwen Tennyson shit like I compared to should be beyond all matter of capabilities for people and should just stand, on a whole different regard. The only reason why I put Mark higher is if you really take at face value statement by Rob Kirkman and Hales and Mixed Bag Wink that Mark at this point is numerous times in the future way more stronger than everyone else. Like no matter who, Mark is just a highest regard motherfucker, and at his full potential, at his Omni-Man level of bloodlusted, full going on out, he could defeat everybody. The only way I really see him dominating full with Eve is being at a range of mysticism like capability and not getting Wanda the Witch, you know what I'm saying, out of this motherfucker. If he doesn't get Scarlet Witch, I feel like he could solidly set up a big attack that could go about knocking around, either being a shockwave or cracking her when she doesn't expect it. Tie with the fact that unlike Allen, who again, reasonable claim, scale, and accounting for the time, has exceeded all possible amount of stance for everybody, is not too demonstrably different to say that, he could have a fight with some of these people. But I think that Mark, by getting the hail, has grown so vastly stronger that he should deplete and body everybody. But it doesn't mean that, again, someone like Eve can't give him a challenge. But again, with that hypothetical high scale, that could give him reasonable claim to effortlessly destroy everybody. Next, you have Spawn, who should be obvious. I'm not going to go too much in details because this shit is already getting a little too long with mix yap and talk and claim with different shit. The fact that, there's more solid Kids Tears thing. I understand this shit is long. I might need to go take a break from these regular videos as I put a lot of thought and research into this shit before I went about doing it. And it is early morning within explaining this, so it might seem a little bit weird. But the full and cool, with this being said, I don't have much more to say about Spawn or anyone else, really, because I say everything I need to say to give reasonable sound, I feel like mine, to this, is the fact that Spawn, from his books and all accounts, is way beyond every sand of these people. Now, I know some people might be saying, oh, well, one of the variants of Mark defeated Spawn. And I don't think that's very credible, especially because that version of Spawn, we do not know how powerful he is, and it's not reasonable. That Mark beating a version of Spawn can up him in a credit, like maybe some greater take of, scale, this and this. But there's multiple versions and variants of characters: Peter, Dr. Octopus, Spawn, other Image comic characters, or even the characters in this verse that are vastly stronger or weaker or whatever in comparison. So a Mark defeating Spawn should not give any stand to him. And Spawn multiple times have been like compared to Kratos, Dante, and other motherfuckers. I'm not full Red Devil Spawn. I've peeked Spawn a few times in the comic shit. I full got more into him with re-looking into his character and greater mythos, with the Spawn show and other case shit. And Spawn is a peak character. Goddamn goat. But he should just be numerously times on an omnipresent scale his own self and in this tier of his own powerhouse pool to be able to dominate everybody from battlefield removal, absorption of powers, hellfire, magic, multi-pull different shit, souls hacks. I mean, he's just a whole new can of destruction, to say the least, across this entire verse. So, yeah, simple as that. Hope you guys have enjoyed. See you guys in the next one. Peace out, army. Love y'all.